Pen to Paper. I'm Leah Lindeman, the author of the Canadian Reminiscence series. Before we get into today's AuthorTube theme for the month, I want to just take care of a little few announcements that I'd like to share with you guys. So first off is my booktuber friend Novelle Novels, Emily, is almost at 800 subscribers. Way to go, girl. So she's at 797 as I am filming this video. Maybe by the time you check out her channel, she might be at 800 already because, you know, it's only 3 subscribers left. But her goal is to hit 900. So I would just like to share her channel a little bit. She is a booktuber who enjoys reading historical fiction, chick flick, romance, and classics. So if that's something that you enjoy reading, I highly suggest that you go out and check out her channel there at Novelle Novels. I will link it down below in the description box. Also, kind of going along those lines, I have a goal of mine as well. I am at 67 subscribers right now, and I don't even know what I was expecting in terms of subscriber count by the end of the year. All I knew is that at the beginning of the year, I really wanted to start this channel for writers, and then kind of later down the road, it turned into booktubing as well. But I'm just thinking now it would be really cool to hit 100 subscribers. And I don't know if I'm going to get there. And if I don't by the end of the year, that's okay. I'm still enjoying this process. But if you would like to help me get to my goal, it would be great if you could spread the word and just, you know, maybe this channel can help other writers out there who are looking for writer tips and advice or some good reads. So if you want to help spread the word of my channel, I'd really appreciate that. But to all of you who already have, because a bunch of you already have spread the word about my channel and my books and just what I'm doing here and all the commenting and liking and sharing, I so appreciate all of you so much from the bottom of my heart. And there's so many of you. Just know that you are appreciated and you are loved, and just got such a big place in my heart. But anyways, I just wanted to share that. And last item that I want to talk about before I launch into today's subject is we discussed the Gunslinger. So we as in the Rambling Reader. So this is Linda from Linda's World of Books, Juliet the Hungry Bookworm, Nikki at Dark Between Pages, and we usually have Marilee on board with us as well, but she wasn't able to make it this time. So, and then me, I'm the newest member of the group, and we discussed The Gunslinger by Stephen King. I think we all had the same consensus. I might have had a slightly more optimistic end point to it, but it's definitely one that I do want to continue the series. I want to find out what's happening, what's the purpose. I want my questions answered. But it was definitely an interesting discussion. We didn't just discuss The Gunslinger. We also talked about, you know, the ins and outs of booktubing and what it's like and the difficulties and the great aspects to it as well. So if you're interested in that delicious discussion, you can go ahead and also click on the link below, which I will provide. So today's discussion is, we are in October and it's getting close to Halloween. I want to give my top 5 tips of writing suspense into your novels. I think I'm just very, how shall I say this, very inspired to write this. 2 reasons is that Jay, if you watched my previous video, I mentioned that Jay has picked my TBR for this month, and he picked all horror reads, which I am very much enjoying the journey. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm definitely getting a big dose of that, although I'm not going to be specifically talking about horror and dark fiction because I haven't really written that. I mean, suspense is kind of creeping into that category, but I'm not a horror author. Maybe one day one of my books will kind of be in that subgenre. We'll see. We'll have that as like a dual genre going. But for now, that hasn't happened. But I have written suspense in my books, and I think that it does, some of these points you could kind of carry into the horror dark fiction genres, but we'll see. I'll leave that for you to decide. And then, yeah, second of all is that the last two books I wrote, which was Wisps of Gold and Scathed Bones, do have quite a bit of suspense and definitely were darker than my first two books, which was Redeemed from the Ashes and Goes to My Heart, which focused more on the dramatic side, dramatic genre. So let's dive into my number one tip. Tip number one, obviously with suspense, you're going to have a lot of moments that produce dread in your characters, not only in your characters, but also in your reader. We want to be careful that we don't create dread moments for the sake of being dread moments. If you are reading a suspense or you're reading a thriller, obviously you're expecting those moments. But if those moments are just written just to create that dread and are not properly linked to the emotion of your characters or kind of serving the plot, then what's the point? The reader's going to quickly catch on that they're just writing to make me feel scared or to make me tense up to see what's going to happen, and that's a really cheap trick. Your dread moments should serve the plot that you are aiming to progress, that you are aiming to ratchet up in tension, but then obviously you need those times when you're going to just chill back a little bit and kind of evoke other emotions. But just make sure that your dread is not in vain, that it's not there to produce something that shouldn't be there. Number two, don't be uncomfortable to, don't be afraid to write uncomfortable scenes. And this is something I had to learn specifically in Wisps of Gold, because it was the first time I was really getting into a darker side to my characters, to the story. And when I was writing the sequel, Scathed Bones, it actually felt easier to write, which was really nice, that I didn't feel as much of that personal dread of writing scenes. But don't be uncomfortable to write. I am not saying this properly. Don't be afraid to write uncomfortable scenes, because maybe you think, well, I would never do something like that. I would never bury a body in the woods, which my character had to do. I would never sell myself short to someone who just wants my body and not my heart. Of course, you may not be that type of person who does that, but your character can. You are not writing, you are not the character. Although characters may have aspects of you as a writer, you need to write the way that you want the character to shine in their personality and their character, and how they grow through the plot, how they grow through their story. So yes, you may not do those things. You may not kill a character. You may not kind of give in to your darker desires, but your characters might, and it makes them more realistic, and the reader can connect with them on a deeper level, because let's face it, we all have had our darker desires that we want to give into or have given into, and that just makes your character really come out of the page and connect with the reader in a way that they need to. So don't be afraid to write those uncomfortable scenes. Number three, emotion is so key in suspense. Suspense, yes, is about setting up the scene, the plot, and what's going to be going on, but real gripping suspense connects the dots between the mechanics of your story and how you want your reader to feel, how the character is feeling, and will it translate into a way that the reader can really connect with the character. One book that I just read recently this month which did an amazing job with this, is Only the Stains Remain by Ross Jeffrey. It is such a difficult book to read because of that very thing, that he takes all that horror and those terrible circumstances that the character goes through, but he just doesn't like throw it out there and be like, haha, I've scared you, or I'm producing fear in your body or in your brain, or he goes into such an emotional level. It is absolutely uncanny. Highly recommend if you want to get that kind of result. Definitely read his work if that's something that you would like to see more of in your writing. True master of connecting the emotions to the scariness, that a book is not scary just to be scary, but that the reader can really feel the story, that the story comes alive for them. Tip number four, dive into your fears and your darkest thoughts to help you produce a work that is going to truly be scary and fear-inducing to your reader. Because if it's realistic to you, then obviously it's realistic to other people, because people share similar fears and similar darker desires. And if you are putting that in your work, then your readers can really relate to that fear and those desires. But leading into tip number 5, don't dwell so much on your fear and your darker desires that your book then becomes basically like a journal, that you're just really releasing all that emotion and all that tension into it without being properly shaped into a story that is readable for your readers. Remember that this is not a memoir. It's not a nonfiction book to help people overcome fears or certain things that have happened to them. It is a fiction book. So all of that wrapped in to say that you are writing for other people. Yes, you are writing for yourself and you can enjoy that process, but you're also writing for other people, and you want them to feel that you've written it for them and to them, and not that it's just some mad scramble the madman trying to get his or her thoughts down. So those are my tips for today. I hope that they have been helpful in helping you figure out how you are going to lay suspense through your book, whether you want to take those tips and amp them up if you are writing dark fiction and horror. But this is, as I said, solely for producing suspense in your books, whether it's a murder mystery or some sort of thriller. I hope that these tips have been helpful to you today. Tell me down below, what do you find the scariest in a suspense, dark fiction, or horror book? Like this video, subscribe, that would be great. Again, thank you so much for all your support. If you're a new viewer, then I'm so happy you stopped by. Thanks again. All of you have a beautiful week. Take care and don't get too spooked out before Halloween.